what's the word I'm looking for? Creative.
Create.
I would love to have a set of cabinets made by Jesus. I bet they were perfectly square. But when I was a kid, my dad always did a lot of carpentry stuff, and I was all the time stealing some of his boards so that I could go put nails and stuff in them. And I would just walk around our woods. We had 86 acres when I was a kid, and I'd walk around and just nail boards to trees and stuff.
Guns.
Not recording anymore. Cantankerous, I think, is a southern word, but it means cantankerous. Podcasting thing, I don't know what that's called, but if you guys podcast, listen to podcast, whatever that is.
That's right. Bye.
Hello everyone, welcome to my Meet the Maker video. I really wanted to do something special to commemorate my 50th YouTube video, so we decided to go ahead and do a Meet the Maker episode. So I'm Darrick, and this is my beautiful wife Caitlin, and we own Kelly Mountain Woodworks. And on top of Kelly Mountain Woodworks, we both work at the University of Arkansas, where I do heating and air conditioning, and she is the financial affairs coordinator for mechanical engineering. So we have two young boys, one's 2.5 and the other one just turned 1. We also have a daughter that would be turning 4 this January, but she is with Jesus in heaven right now, and we look forward to seeing her again one day. With no further ado, we will move into some questions that were submitted.
So this question is for Darrick. What sparked your interest in woodworking?
So we built our house in 2016, and we went to several furniture stores in the local area, and we were kind of blown away and taken back a little bit by how expensive the furniture that we wanted was going to cost us to furnish our new house. So I actually started woodworking in a 2-car garage in 2016, building furniture for our house. And I would actually come out here while they were building our house, and I would raid their dumpster and take wood back to build furniture that we were actually furnishing our house with out of leftover lumber and scraps from the contractors that were building our house. And I started out of that 2-car garage with a Ryobi table saw and a Ryobi miter saw. I still have the Ryobi miter saw, it's right here behind me, works great. I'm sure there's a lot better brands out there, but for what I do, it serves my purposes and works great. I have upgraded my table saw, but I actually bought both of those tools on a Black Friday sale at Direct Tools in Branson, and I think I gave around $200 for both of them, which is a crazy good deal, especially just for starting out in woodworking. But yeah, that's where I started out.
So what all did you make for your house?
Pretty much all the furniture in our house I made. The very first thing that I made, I can't remember the very first project I made for the house. It was either the dining room table or the bed. But I did make a king-size bed for our house, 2 nightstands, a dresser. I made our dining room table. I made the coffee table and end tables. And the coffee table and end tables were actually all made from scraps that I dug out of the dumpster from the contractors. I made our fireplace mantle and numerous decorative odds and ends.
What intrigued you about starting into cutting boards?
Cutting boards, really it was YouTube. I watched some YouTube videos on making cutting boards, and I thought that looks like a lot of fun. And I also, with cutting boards, you want to make cutting boards out of hardwood and not softwood. And most of the furniture that I build is made out of pine. And I really wanted to play around with some more unique and exotic woods, and that's really kind of what drew my interest into the cutting board direction, and that's why I kind of gravitated towards cutting boards. Plus, I really like working with epoxy, so I think epoxy is beautiful and it really comes out nice in a cutting board.
So what is your favorite wood to work with?
My favorite wood to work with, hands down, is walnut. Love it. It's very strong, it's durable, it's easy to work with, it planes down really smooth, it sands well, and it finishes well. It looks amazing in a final product, and I just love the dark contrast of wood in walnut.
And it's domestic.
And it's domestic. We have a lot of walnut trees here on our property, and a lot of the walnut slabs that I currently have in my shop were actually given to me. The tree was given to me. I did some HVAC work for a friend of mine, and he gave me these walnut trees in return for that HVAC work. I took them to a local sawmill and had them cut up, and so I'm planning on making Caitlin a dining room table eventually when I get around to it, out of some of the walnut slabs that I currently have.
Who would you say has influenced your creativity and desire to work with wood?
I would say most of my creative influence probably has come from YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. Some of my favorites are the Wood Whisperer and Jonathan Katz-Moses. From those two channels specifically, Jonathan Katz-Moses and the Wood Whisperer, I have learned a lot of, not just a lot about woodworking, but a lot about maintaining your tools. I also get a lot of inspiration from the guys on Instagram. The woodworking community on Instagram is absolutely phenomenal, and we love sticker swapping with people. So if you guys are watching this and you want a sticker swap and you haven't done a sticker swap with Kelly Mountain Woodworks, hit us up. Send us a DM on Instagram. We'd be happy to swap stickers with you. I'm also an avid listener of Another Woodshop podcast. I highly recommend listening to Another Woodshop podcast. Those three guys are great. We follow those guys on Instagram as well. With this whole COVID thing, I've actually been going to work by myself a lot, and I love just plugging my phone in to the radio in the truck and listening to Another Woodshop podcast. I've got kind of a long commute to work, so I can actually normally get through an entire episode of Another Woodshop podcast, listen to half of it on my way to work and the other half on my way home from work, so it kind of works out good.
At what age did you start doing creative things and working with your hands?
So I've kind of always enjoyed working with my hands. As far as remembering a particular age, I don't really remember what age all that started, but I do remember I was always trying to help my dad fix stuff around the house. I was kind of raised in a family that we didn't call anybody to fix anything. We fixed everything. I have one sister and then my mom and dad, and we built our house when I was 14, and we've just kind of always, we've never called anybody to fix stuff, so I've always had a mechanical mind. When I was 16, I helped my dad restore a 1974 Dodge Dart, and that was a lot of fun. We were actually involved in the Mopar Club here in Northwest Arkansas. When I was really young, I actually was into leather working and putting model cars together, so my dad and I always enjoyed putting model cars together and making leather. I would make leather belts, and I made guitar strap and stuff. So working with my hands has always been interesting, but it never really turned into woodworking until I was an adult.
This question is for both of you. Do other members of your family take part in Kelly Mountain Woodwork and help with the business?
Yeah, we actually get quite a bit of help. My dad is always willing to help come over, and lots of times whenever I'm doing table builds and stuff, and I haven't done one for YouTube, but I am planning a table build for YouTube. Whenever I'm doing a table build, I normally build it all on my workbench, and more often than not, whenever I get ready to get it off the workbench and start the finishing process on the floor, I have to have somebody come over and help me get it, moved and stuff. So I've always got family willing to come over and help. My mom actually helped paint one of the signs, the Welcome to Our Ool sign that was a few videos back, but she helped paint that sign. And as far as Kayla's family, she has a lot of family come over and just help out with the boys and stuff so that she can come out here and help me finish products and whatnot.
Savannah, Darrick's sister, is recording right now.
Yes.
So she's
Savannah,
the one asking the questions. She's behind the camera right now.
My sister is currently pushing the 1-year-old in a, I don't even know what you call that, a little roll around car, trying to keep him quiet.
So if you hear a little baby in the back, that's Bowen.
Yeah.
The 2.5-year-old is sleeping right now, but we are so thankful for Savannah and Darrick's mom for how much they help. They think they may not be helping with the shop, but they really are. Even if they're not out in the shop, they help so much by watching our boys. And it's hard for us because we want to spend time with our boys in the evenings because we work all day. But if they could help out for like 30 minutes after work, it really is a tremendous amount of help, so we can get just a little bit done in the shop before we have family time.
We also have a lot of friends that help out too, and one of my good buddies actually designed our logo, and we're really happy with the way our logo turned out. I wish we had our logo a little bit sooner, because if you listen to another woodshop podcast, all those guys really recommend not getting any merchandise at all until you're finalized on your logo. And I kind of wish I had done that. I did not take that advice. Nobody mentioned that to me before, and so my brand that you see me in some of my videos putting on cutting boards and stuff, that's not my actual logo. I do plan on getting a new logo or a new brand in the future that's my actual logo. But yeah, he designed the logo, and the intro to all my videos, the animated logo, that was made by the same friends. So we have a lot of friends and family that are always willing to help out and do stuff, and normally they get a free cutting board or something out of the deal.
And sharing on Facebook, Instagram, word of mouth is huge. Sometimes we like to just make things for friends and family to give them because we love them, for one, but to showcase. So whether it's at work, they can display our woodworking, and people ask where they got that, and they tell them. So word of mouth is great. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. It's not old school. It works. Instead of business cards, they really do work.
Just wait to get merchandise until you decide on your logo. That way you can put your logo on all your merchandise.
How do you balance working full-time and running a small business? And 2 small children?
I don't know. How do we?
I guess a lot of it just is hoping for the best. So lots of times while I'm out here working, Caitlin, she's got a chair out here. We've got a bunch of kids' toys. So we kind of make a deal, or we kind of make a family deal out of working in the shop. So we get a lot of family time just with them being here. And plus, we let Baylor play with the table saw and stuff like that. So it keeps him interested as well. So I don't think 2.5 years is too early to start kids on table saws and things of that nature. So
okay, let's be real. He does not play with the table saw. He has a hammer, which is enough. He has learned on his own how to use the hand plane. I guess he has watched Darrick do that, but he knows how to use it, surprisingly. He uses the drill. He really amazes us. Our oldest son has gotten his mechanical mind from his father, for sure. Don't let him use the table saw, but he does know how to use a lot of power tools, surprisingly.
But we also one of the things that we do is we always make time to eat supper as a family with no electronic devices, and we sit at the table to do that.
some YouTubers have noticed a faith theme in a lot of your work. So they're asking, what role does your faith play in running a small business?
As I mentioned earlier, our daughter passed away, and we believe that she's in heaven, and we believe that we will see her again one day. We find the scripture to be very encouraging, and we hope that the scripture that's in our work will help to encourage other people as well. And don't forget, Jesus was a carpenter.
What is your favorite tool?
Favorite tool, hands down, is the table saw. I have a super old, I don't even know when it was made, but it was made in probably the 80s or 90s. But it's a old Delta unisaw. I'm getting ready to upgrade the fence on it. I found a Shop Fox fence that I'd like to buy for it. It's supposed to be a pretty direct replacement. The fence system that's on it now is just kind of getting a little bit cantankerous. It's getting a little bit old, and it's missing some pieces that make it not really, it makes it more difficult to adjust and get it square to the blade. So I'm getting ready to do a project where I'm upgrading the fence on the unisaw. So stay tuned for that. I'm planning on doing a video on it. But you can't beat the old Delta unisaws. If you find a used one or whatever, they're about a $2,000 saw, and they work great. It's got a 3 horsepower motor on it. It's 220 volt, and it's a beast. I mean, it's just, you can't go wrong with an old Delta unisaw. But it can't tell the difference between wood and flesh, so be careful with them. I would love to have a saw stop. It's kind of my dream table saw, but I haven't got Caitlin convinced that my fingers are that important yet. So
It's also a little bit of this.
What are your 5 most used tools? What 5 things do you use for every project?
table saw, definitely. Use that on every single project. Miter saw, use that on every single project. Miter saw is great for squaring up your edges and stuff after it glue up on a cutting board or something like that. So I always use a miter saw for that just because it's so easy. So a good drill and driver set, is that 2 tools?
No, it's just 1.
1?
Yes.
Okay. Drill and driver set, 1 tool. I would say number 4 would have to be random orbit sander. Use that on every single project. I want to say planer because a lot of the wood that I work with is rough. I get a lot of, it's just cheaper, and since I have the planer and jointer, I can surface my own wood. I don't use it on every single project, but especially when I'm making pine furniture and stuff. But as far as cutting boards and making stuff out of hardwood, I use it on every project. So I'm gonna say planer.
Where did you get the name Kelly Mountain Woodworks?
That's an easy one. We actually got that name because that is the name of the road that we live on. And
My name is not Kelly.
Neither one of our names is Kelly. So we have people all the time saying, "Hey, Kelly," but yeah, that's none of our names are not Kelly. We got the name Kelly Mountain Woodworks because the name of the road that we live on and where we were living at the time of starting this business is the name of the road is Kelly Mountain Road. So that's where we got the name from.
What is in the future for Kelly Mountain Woodworks?
I'm going to preface this question by saying that I am very lucky to have a job. There are a lot of people out there that don't have one right now because of all this COVID stuff going on. I'm fortunate enough to be one of the lucky few that didn't get laid off or anything like that. So, but long-term plan, I see myself possibly doing this full-time. That would be my ultimate goal. I would love to do that. Don't know if that's in the cards for us right now, but I definitely would see that as an option.
What piece of advice would you give someone just starting out in woodworking?
Don't get hung up on needing the newest, best, biggest tool. I think a lot of people get hung up on, well, I can't make that because I don't have, and then just fill in that blank with whatever they want. You can make anything with just about anything. I mean, if you've got a skill saw and a jigsaw, a hammer and some nails, or a screw gun, you can build a piece of furniture. Like I mentioned earlier, I started off with some extremely inexpensive tools. Burned the motor up in my very first table saw using it so much. Miter saw still runs like a champ, and I plan on burning the motor up in that thing because it works. I'm comfortable with it. I'm extremely familiar with it. It does what I need it to do. That's not a tool that I'm looking to upgrade right now. There are other tools that I would like to upgrade, but if they work and they do their job as designed and they're safe, then I'm going to keep it. It doesn't have to say a certain brand on it for me. I've got Ryobi, I've got Bosch, I've got a Grizzly drum sander, a Grizzly planer, I've got Porter cable, I've got Skill brands, I've got Black & Decker, I've got everything. So my advice would be, don't get hung up on brand names or having the mentality of I need to spend X amount of dollars or I can't make such and such.
What's your favorite project you've ever done?
I would say my favorite project I've ever done is probably the epoxy desk. That also kind of comes around to my favorite finish, which wasn't a question, but I'll just go ahead and throw this in there for free. My favorite finish to use is probably Rubio Monocoat. We sincerely hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please turn on the notifications and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. We made this video to commemorate our 50th YouTube video, and we plan on making a lot more, so stick around to see what's in Kelly Mountain Woodworks' future. Thanks for watching.